I spent most of my adult life as a warrior in the Army, and the two things that I have personally spent more time thinking about and probably exposed to is death and fear. I was stationed with the Army's 75th Ranger Regiment for many, many years, an elite special operations unit. And my unit and a couple of others were thrown together at the last minute and sent to Somalia to go capture a warlord. And the seventh and final mission is the events of Black Hawk Down. And in the course of the first 10 or the 15 minutes, I went through, to this day, the most intense enemy gunfire I've ever experienced in my life. And within a matter of minutes of arriving back at the base, my commander was telling me, "Jeff, you need to get your men back on your vehicles and drive back out into those city streets and see if there's anybody alive at the Durant crash site." And to this day, standing at the back of that Humvee, getting ready to go back out into the city streets is without question the most terrifying thing I've ever done in my life. And I was really grappling with not going back out there. But as a Ranger, I knew that I would totally be letting down my men. I'd be letting down the guys that are in the city streets who are fighting for their lives. And I knew I had to find some courage to go back out there and to do what probably was going to result in my death. And many young men that I've been with in the military who are in some cases the most courageous guys that you'll ever see out there. There's this perception that in order for you to be really courageous, you don't have any fear. And I've tried to tell men, especially men, because men are really, really hesitant to ever admit that they have fear. I don't know what it is. I think it's a character flaw, to be honest with you. Every man deals with fear. And every man who's honest with himself and with others would say, hey, sometimes I'm really, really afraid and don't know how to handle fear. And I try to challenge men especially to be really honest with themselves and really honest with God about fear. And try to tell them fear is not a bad thing. In fact, it's probably a good thing and can be a gift from God. Fear says this is a really serious situation. And I'm not just talking about getting shot at. I'm talking about health, I'm talking about your family, I'm talking about your finances, whatever it is. Fear says this is a really serious situation, and it's almost always attached to the unknown. And I don't know how the situation is going to turn out, and I'm afraid it's not going to turn out well. And I tell men, real courage is not the absence of fear. In fact, Hollywood's got it wrong. Real courage is the guy who is intensely afraid of the situation, but has the strength of character to get up and to do what he knows he has to do anyway. And then, not knowing how the circumstance is going to turn out, trust the results in God's hands. So if you really think about it for just a second, the opposite of fear is not courage. If fear has to do with the unknown and if it has to do with doing what you know you have to do, the opposite of fear is faith. When you have faith in a God who is personally involved in your life, when you have faith in a God who superintends, who is sovereign over all of the affairs of man, when you have faith in a God who loves you enough to die for you and to provide for everything that you need here on planet Earth, the answer to any fear is faith in Jesus Christ. You put it in Jesus' hands, you trust it in Jesus' hands, you get up and do what you have to do next and trust the results there. And that is a man or a woman of great courage. In some cases, the most courageous people that I've ever met have not been warriors. They've been the mom who's done the right thing when she didn't want to, or the father who's got up and worked hard and diligently for his family, not knowing how the finances are going to turn out, or the farmer or the business owner who's afraid they're about to lose everything and still gets up and does their best anyway. Trust the rest in God's hands. That's the real answer to fear. And anyone can show genuine, real courage when they put their faith in Jesus. And I could literally look them in the eyes and say, hey, I know exactly what you're going through because I've been there and I got the t-shirt. And let me tell you how faith in Jesus makes a difference.